Swipe, paid, click, approved, tap, done. Money today moves faster than a text message. But the first people who tried to replace heavy metal coins with paper had no smartphones, no electricity, and no guarantee anyone would believe them. Their gamble dragged the world out of the age of bronze and hurled it toward the age of Bitcoin. So grab your coffee, because this receipt is 1,300 years in the making. Money isn't just numbers. It's a story billions of people agree to tell each other every day. Understanding where paper money began reveals who controls that story, why empires rise when trust expands, and how the next upgrade, whether central bank digital bucks or decentralized crypto, might rewrite the plot again. Travel back to the Tang-dynasty, 8th century China. You're a tea merchant about to cross Sichuan's mountain passes. A single wholesale order weighs 50 kilograms in copper. Every mule you add increases bandit risk and road tolls. Worse, Chinese government mints are melting coins to fund wars. So every year you need more metal to buy the same silk. The math is brutal. Profit margins sink. Trade slows. Innovation stalls. Something lighter has to exist, even if it's made of tree bark. Now imagine the human toll. Laborers dragging wagons through perilous terrain, bribing corrupt officials at toll stations, praying bandits strike someone else's caravan. Merchants formed armed convoys or hired guards, adding cost, not safety. One innovation tried was stringing copper coins together, threading them by the hundreds. But the problem wasn't how to carry coins. It was why carry them at all? The era was ripe for disruption. Trade was expanding. Silk, porcelain, and spices were pouring through the empire's arteries. What traders needed wasn't more muscle. It was a financial revolution. Local entrepreneurs spot the opportunity. In bustling Chengdu, they open exchange houses. A merchant deposits his heavy coins and receives a slim slip of mulberry paper inked with three things: amount, seal, expiry date. The slip, called jiaozi, can be folded, pocketed, even hidden in a slipper to fool robbers. Suddenly, caravans move faster, traders take larger bets, and the province booms. By year 1023, the Song government, seeing tax dollars drift away, nationalizes the idea. It launches the world's first central banknote, printed with 8 different engravings, stamped in vermilion, and punishable by death to counterfeit. Fast forward 2 centuries. Venetian teenager Marco Polo reaches Kublai Khan's court and sees servants tossing scraps of black bark into furnaces, not for heat, but to print money. In his travelogue, he writes, almost breathless, "The great Khan makes his subjects take these pieces of paper on pain of death." To Polo, this was more than cultural shock. It was an economic earthquake. Kublai's empire, the largest the world had ever seen, ran on faith. Faith in the emperor and in his ink-stamped promises. For Europe, where value means silver or bust, this is wizardry. But what Polo didn't realize was the meticulous design behind the illusion. The Mongol banknotes were printed with multiple seals, fiber patterns, and ink that faded under heat. They were statecraft disguised as stationery. Paper wasn't just replacing metal. It was amplifying the emperor's power. And when that paper flowed across thousands of miles, so did his reach. Polo's tales spread across ports like Genoa and Bruges, seeding a dangerous idea. Maybe faith, not metal, is the real engine of trade. European merchants, suspicious of outright phantom money, invent a compromise: the bill of exchange. A Florentine banker inks a promise to pay a London wool trader 30 days after delivery. A single sheet can represent more silver than any caravan could safely haul. That parchment then embarks on its own journey, endorsed, re-endorsed, folded into doublets, even pledged as collateral for fresh loans. Think Venmo without Wi-Fi. The passcode is the banker's good name, and names carry weight. One flourish of a respected signature can float a fleet. A forged one can topple a city-state. Fraud isn't settled in court so much as settled with ruin, sometimes a rope. Some bills change hands a dozen times before anyone bothers to redeem them. By then, they're behaving less like IOUs and more like a portable currency. Fast forward to 1694. Locked in a grinding war with France, England needs cash. Fast. Parliament charters the newborn Bank of England, which issues standardized paper notes, each pound sterling a silent cannon blast. To bake in trust, the notes sport Baroque engravings, watermarks, and serial numbers, early anti-counterfeit tech. Paper has now graduated from convenience to geopolitical weapon, capable of buying both bread and gunpowder. Across the Atlantic, silver shortages force American colonies to invent their own bills. Benjamin Franklin, part-time printer, adds flecks of mica and leaf vein patterns to deter forgers, the 18th century version of a hologram. But during the Revolution, Congress prints too many continentals, prices explode. The phrase, "not worth a continental," is born. Lesson learned? Paper money needs two pillars: credible limit plus credible enforcement. 80 years later, the Civil War tests the theory again. Lincoln issues greenbacks with cutting-edge color inks. Counterfeiting drops, the Union pays its troops, and railroads spread the notes across a continent. For decades, nations have promised, our paper can always be swapped for gold. It keeps inflation tame, but also chains growth to mining output. 2 world wars, 1 Great Depression, and a Vietnam budget later, the math breaks. In 1971, President Nixon appears on television and, without warning, closes the gold window. The dollar floats free. Other currencies follow. Overnight, money is 100% faith, 0% metal. Today, over 90% of world currency exists only as database entries. You've likely never held most of your own money. A paycheck gets deposited as digits. A phone tap sends tokens flying through fiber cables. Your rent, your subscriptions, your side hustle payments, all just electrical signals. Central banks pilot e-dollars. African street vendors leapfrog to QR codes. In India, digital wallets process billions of micropayments daily, even for 5-cent cups of chai. Meanwhile, crypto engineers chase a world where no one prints anything at all, paper or digital. Just consensus, just code. But while the speed and scale have changed, the core hasn't. Every digital dollar still rests on the same ancient idea: trust the issuer. The question is, what happens when there's no one left to trust? Paper money began as a clever workaround to a sore back. It survived emperors, pirates, hyperinflation, and presidential shocks because each generation found new ways to keep the story believable. Its power doesn't lie in ink or fibers, but in collective agreement. In our choice to believe a promise printed on something worthless. Because in truth, money has never been about what it is. It's always been about what it means. The next chapter, whether CBDCs, stablecoins, or something nobody's coined yet, will still depend on the same fragile ingredient: trust. And that, in the end, is printed on the only material humans have never run out of: imagination. So next time you tap to pay, remember, you're not just spending money, you're spending history. Enjoyed our world tour of wallets? Subscribe for more mind-bending money tales, global puzzles, and bite-sized brilliance. Comment with your boldest finance fun fact, then share this episode with the mate who thinks paper still beats plastic.